What's up, humans, and welcome to a new Psicoactivo. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Okay, it's finally here. It dropped. The first part of the interview with UFO whistleblower Dylan Borland that came out on the Weaponized podcast with Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp. Just the first impressions of the interview, because on Tuesday, Corbell said that they were having a little bit of trouble with the sensitivities on releasing the episode. And now that it's released, I can tell what the sensitivities were because there were a bunch of different redacted moments. And I know that probably rubbed some people the wrong way. I completely understand if that happens because we have to understand that these people from the military are still trying to be useful to their country because they're patriots. And them not wanting to jeopardize their country's secrets, that is something that I can completely understand. So yeah, that there were a lot of redacted moments there, but there were many really important moments so we can get to know Dylan a little bit more. One of those is when he talked about the work that he did for the Air Force on the drone program, which it gave us a closer look of how difficult it can be for people like him who were like conducting operations with these drones in war zones and conflict zones, and how taxing mentally it can be for them. Borland unfortunately said that there were a bunch of his friends who took their own lives because they couldn't take that away from their conscience, whatever they did. Borland himself said that there are some things he's done that he's not proud of. He was doing it for his country, though, but this is a great reminder of how people in the military suffer the horrible aspects of war and conflict with other nations. You need to understand that a lot of these people don't really want to be involved in a war. They don't have a choice when they grow up, and they go to the military so they can have a better chance at a life. And many of them, like Dylan, initially get into the military because they want to serve their country. Some of them don't have a choice. But in Dylan's case, he was really good at what he did. And that gave him confidence from his superiors to get more and more read into these programs. And there was a certain point when he stopped working for the Air Force and he started working for a multi-agency contractor. And he names this contractor, and it's a contractor from the UK. And I know that at least one of the people who already testified under oath is currently working there for this company. And I just thought it was really interesting. Another part that he discussed was his sighting in more detail. The equilateral triangle that he saw, how big it was. It started moving towards him and it stopped 100 feet away and 100 feet above from him. And he describes it just as he did in the hearings. The initial reaction that he gave was that, oh, so this is real too. By that time, he was already privy to a lot of defense items that he was a part of, many of these drones that he speaks about that are highly, highly classified. But for me, the most important part was where he talks about the program and what he was exposed to and who he worked for. So that's what I'm going to show you here. Shout out to Jeremy and George, and shout out to Dylan, definitely, for coming forward with this. Here it is.
But yeah, you work for the Air Force. You told us what you did, and then you're working for someone else. At the time you saw this thing at Langley, it's an Air Force base, but you're not working for the Air Force at that time.
At that point, I was working for the Air Force.
Later, you work for somebody else, and we've asked you a couple of times, do you not want to say who you work for?
I cannot say it because as of this time right now, I understand that information is classified and it's not allowed out there. I can say it's a multi-agency special access program under BAE, British
Take a look at this carefully. Take your screenshots.
Aerospace Engineering Systems.
So you don't want to cross. There's a line you don't want to cross because of legal ramifications, or because you promised you would.
Both, and I still believe in national security, which is why I'm here. It's why I went through the whistleblower process. It's why I'm so upset that so many whistleblowers have been let down. It's why I'm upset that laws are not being followed. It's why I'm upset that SEC whistleblower payments, which is 10% to anybody who comes forward with any information of financial abuse and wrongship, should receive that. There's a number of reasons, but ultimately I believe in the Constitution of the United States.
Yeah, in a sense, you are a patriot. Of course, you love your country, but you are a patriot in a sense that there's a limit to it. And when people violate the Constitution or go against the law or treat people who are living up to their oaths poorly, threatening them, intimidating, then it has to come out.
Yeah, it's infuriating. There's a difference between being disgruntled and me being disgruntled and me releasing everything: names, locations, places, crimes that were committed, sexual assaults I'm aware of, stalking I'm aware of, brake lines being cut. It would be me releasing all of that, and I'm not doing that. I am doing that because this needs to be told. The people that are in these programs and the decision makers at Congress and the executive branch owe it to the American people, to the whistleblowers, to the veterans, to the service members, to tell the truth in a capacity they can, because this is coming out no matter what. And when it does, if they are not a part of it, this is going to be a lot worse than it already is.
And this is really important to discuss here because in another part of the interview, Dylan Borland makes it very clear that he has a dead man switch that he set up many years ago, and that's still very much activated. And if anything happens to him, there's a lot that would be released on his behalf. Hopefully nothing happens to Dylan. I'll talk about some of the issues that he had when he met directly with George Knapp. George was recently on a Coast to Coast AM show where he talked about his experience at the hearings, and he discusses when he met with Dylan a few years ago and how they were intimidated by somebody. So it is happening constantly to Dylan. And I think that this is the reason why they can't really move against him, because he must have something very significant, evidence or documents or videos. He has to have something, which is why he feels confident right now coming out and speaking up for all of those people that are afraid of coming forward.
So you have direct knowledge of UAP being actual craft of unknown or non-human origin. From your official capacity of work, you have some direct knowledge of that?
100%. Not only do I have it, I testified to it. I provided materials proving it, and it was proven to me that what I provided was in fact true.
Who did you testify to? List them out.
Senate staff, House staff, Arrow, and the ICIG.
Under oath.
Under oath. FBI was there. The ICIG was there, the DOD was there at points in time, staff members from armed services, intelligence. Basically, I went through the whole kit and caboodle to tell the truth and get this on record, because I have grave concerns for what is happening to people.
Is there something else in between that thing that you saw that went, other experiences, things that you saw either as a citizen or while working for the government, that you want to share with us?
There are many. I think as of this time, what I will say is this. I have direct firsthand knowledge and exposure to crash recovery, reverse engineering, integration of technology into
redacted,
as well as the most important piece of technology on the planet, and it's not the craft themselves.
It would be the power source.
You can make that assessment yourself.
What the fuck? So what could be this power source? This was such a huge moment for this first part of the interview. I wonder what they're going to talk about in the second and maybe third part. I don't know how many there are, but he just said that the biggest secret is the power source for these craft. And I wonder what that is. This is the debate, right? That whether CPE, 0 point energy, is a thing, or, for example, Bob Greenier's work that talks about toroidal moments is the power source, or if you go through the Bob Lazar rabbit hole, you can talk about this element 115. Although that element, it's kind of weird because the element 115 that we know, it doesn't really have the same properties that the one Bob Lazar described back in the day. So I'm just like giving you guys options, and there are options. I don't know if dark matter could be involved, some another type of material that we don't know about that could be the source. I know I talked to Missile Man quite a bit. He's a topological physicist, and he's talked to me about conductors and topological insulators that could do the trick to create some sort of an effect. So we're talking about something linked or related to that. And also this reaction from these materials that seem to have sentience, which is kind of strange, and how they apparently seem to react to human consciousness. That is something that is talked about as well. So who knows what this source of energy might be, but I am very, very interested in trying to find out what it is. Maybe Dylan will talk about it at length at some point. But I don't know what you guys thought about this interview. I'm going to leave it in the description so you can check it all out. For me, the hearings did have a positive effect. Even though the video was a little bit distracting at times, I think that the testimonies, especially Dylan's, was very important. And I think that this hearing was just like the first step in a number of things that are happening right now that is encouraging people to come forward more. And I've been telling you this for a little while. I already know at least of 2 more people who claim to be part of the program. One of them allegedly was part of a crash retrieval team, and the other one was part of a technician team in sensitive facilities. And they are coming forward. They are talking to investigators, journalists, and all that. And they're making some really startling revelations. And I would say that Dylan will get his chance to potentially talk about this more openly. What we need now is to subpoena the people that could potentially be hostile and don't want to come forward. The 2 names that were already named at the hearing, Ryder and Gaffney, those 2 are probably going to get subpoenaed, and Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick is probably going to get subpoenaed as well. And I found it really interesting that Dylan Borland did say who he testified to. And one of those organisms was Arrow. So let's see what happens. I saw Tim Phillips recently on a different podcast playing down Dylan Borland's testimony, which was really funny to see. You can tell that these guys don't really want to talk about him that much, but they won't have a choice. At a certain moment, it's going to just like spill over everywhere. Mark my words. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments about the whole interview, about Dylan Borland's experience with the drone program, which was really harrowing to listen to, about Dylan Borland's more in detail description of the Black Triangle, and about Dylan Borland's experience with these programs and who he worked with. He mentions this company and this multi-agency stuff. So let me know what you think. I'll be reading in the comments. If you like the content you see, I'm going to ask you to like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. That's all you need to do in order to help us, and it is what helps us the most. So thank you. But if you want to support us in other ways, there's a few links down there you can choose from. You can become a member on YouTube, or you can support us through KGRA. Anything you choose to do is always appreciated, so thank you. That's it for me today on this video, but I'll see you guys in the next one. And remember, stay curious and inquisitive like Dylan Borland. Always. Bye.